I'm Vanessa, the girl on a bike, and I'm pretty excited about what I've got for you in today's video. I'm here with Triumph and the brand new Tiger Sport 660. Now, if you've seen my previous video with the Trident 660, you'll see that I got a little bit excited about that bike, and I think Triumph are on a roll because having ridden this bike today in a pretty golden, very lucky opportunity to get on the prototype before anybody else, I am rather excited about this bike, and I think it's one to get down to the dealers the second you can and give it a try. Now, in this video, I'm going to talk about some of the key reasons why I'm rather excited about the bike. If you're new to my channel, please do hit like, subscribe, tick the bell so you get notifications, and do let me know what you think in the comments below. So let's get into the details of this bike. Hello Tiger 660. I am pretty thrilled to be able to get onto the prototype, and I've got to say I'm ridiculously impressed. I don't tend to measure bikes by just the stats. For me, it's about how it makes you feel, and I had such a good time riding this bike. I was also cheekily allowed to ride some of the key competitors, and pretty much in every area that I could feel, this bike seemed to just step it up a notch. So I think it's going to be a little bit of trouble for the competitors in the market. It feels like the quality you expect from Triumph. If you think about the Trident 660 and how well that has done, I anticipate this is going to follow very smoothly in its footsteps. Now, in the adventure sport market, you're looking for a bike that is going to be no compromise. You can do everything from your fun blast on a Sunday to commuting to having your buddy on the back. And this bike doesn't seem to be a compromise in any area at all as far as my experience goes. It's got a lively, responsive engine. It's got a comfortable seating position. It comes with some good known brands behind the technology on it, so your suspension and your brakes. It's got technology that's going to help you stay safe and be confident on the road, such as the ride-by-wire throttle. And just as an overall package, I think Triumph have nailed it. It's a bit of a thumbs up from me. I kind of want to keep riding, but I think they're going to take it off me. Make sure you stay listening to the end of this video because I will be turning on the Tiger Sport 660 so you can hear what that beautiful triple sounds like. Quick one on why this is a prototype and not the final finished bike being delivered. The lovely colour pattern that goes on here is to basically diffuse any spy shots that might get caught, because Triumph are doing a lot of road testing on their bikes before they get the final version out to market. Now, that also means that some of the parts on this bike that I've got to ride today aren't the final manufactured parts. They use rapid prototyping, 3D printing. So some of the bits on it aren't as solid and finished as the final bike will be, and I'm pretty excited to see how that one feels when it comes out later in the year. But for a prototype, I didn't think it held it back in any way at all, to be honest. So let's get into some of the key things. First thing that I think is worth mentioning with the Tiger Sport 660 is the triple engine that is its heartbeat down below. In the middleweight adventure sport sector, the triple is the first, and Triumph have brought that through from their Trident 660 engine, which is probably one of their most reliable and hard tested engine platforms they have. So if you're looking for reliability, this is certainly going to be a good move on the Tiger Sport. Now, the triple gives you a really good power delivery across the range, which, if we think about how that is for the feel as a rider, the most important thing is the versatility you're going to get across the different rider situations that you're going to have. So whether you're cruising around town at low speeds in traffic or blasting around at the weekend and having a little bit fun, there's a lot of responsiveness in the ride-by-wire throttle, and it is super smooth. And it just made me want to smile. So I think that's a pretty important point to mention. Next up is class leading. Now, it's a really boring term saying it's class leading, so let's try and clarify that, because it's very easy to say, but actually the facts are in this bike right here that makes it pretty easy to say it. We've got all kinds of things from the quality and the finish, which is very well known for Triumph. They're a British brand and they put a lot of effort and care into making sure that what they bring to the market lives up to that Triumph reputation. So it comes with 3 color specs. This is not the final paint job, obviously. This is the spy shots. You've got a red, a metallic and a blue. Hopefully by the time this is coming out to you and you're watching this, there's going to be some shots of it. We've then got the branded parts. Now, when it comes to the bike specs on paper with the Showa suspension, Nissan brakes, etc., it doesn't seem to stand out compared to the rivals, but it's when you take it out on the road that it actually feels better. I have ridden them on the same roads, in the same conditions, and it just felt a lot more comfortable, solid, whether it's the combination of how Triumph have set it all up, the comfortable seat, I don't know, but I can tell you that this bike felt more comfortable to ride. So purchase price is going to sit pretty comfortably in the competitive market, but when you then start to look at your service cost when it comes to the interval 10,000 mile service points and the cost of ownership, you are looking at one of the cheapest options in its category as far as money, which keeps more of it in your pocket or actually to put in your tank to go on some adventures. As an adventure sport bike, versatility is kind of a big part of this, because this is a sort of bike that maybe is your only bike and is the sort of bike that you want to be able to do lots of different things on, whether that's commuting, going on a trip with your friends on the back, strapping a whole load of luggage on, having fun on the country roads, etc. And Triumph have handled this really, really well. You've got pillion pegs on the back that are not ugly at all, super easy to fold out. You've then got integrated luggage mounts, and so often on bikes you get these really ugly, clunky bolt-on bits that enable you to put your panniers on, but it's pretty seamless. I love the big grab handles on the back, which for strapping a huge bag on is going to make it really versatile. You've then got the quite upright, poised position that this bike gives you. I'll sit on it so you can see. And yes, that's pretty typical in the adventure sort of sport middleweight sector, but I think the way that this bike felt in relation to the 2 competitors was just a little bit more spacious and comfortable. There's a nice size seat so you can adjust and find your position. You're tall and upright, which means if you're riding around in traffic, you've got great visibility of the road, and it just feels balanced and nice. While I'm sitting on the bike, confidence is quite an important part when it comes to riding a motorcycle. Now for me, with my history obviously being hit by a car out on the road, having a machine that gives you extra confidence in everything that you're doing really helps me out. And for me, this bike is mid-weight in the category, but it feels smaller somehow. The tank is a 17 litre, so you're going to get some good range as well, but it's got a very narrow standover height, and if you see my feet, I am flat-footed right now, and that's without any of my kit, my helmet, so it does sit a little bit lower once I'm loaded up. I am 169 centimetre with a 69 centimetre inside leg, just to give you a little bit of reference. But for confidence, that's really important, being able to reach the ground, pulling up in traffic lights, all those kind of things. And there's something about the chassis, the setup of this bike, that made it really manoeuvrable at low speeds. So when you're having to do a U-turn, manoeuvring it backwards and forwards to park, it doesn't feel like a big hefty bike to move around, and it comes in at 206 kilograms. We've got 2 more points that I want to highlight about this bike, so stay tuned. Make sure you hit like and hit the subscribe button. Next up, I want to talk about the technology on this bike. So first of all, the TFT display up front. So often on bikes, you have this complicated spaceship kind of display where you're trying to ride along, focus on what's going on, and you look down, you have no idea where the information you need is because there's just so much happening. It's a super simple, really easy to see at a glance display, and that got a really big thumbs up from me, particularly when you're first out on the bike and you're trying to see what gear you're in or the speed, all those kind of things. It's a lovely little neat display. Everything up front, Triumph have tried to I guess, make it simple and streamlined and tidy, and I really like the design. So also getting a little bit sidetracked from technology, but I really like the way that the bottom is shaped on this. Rest of the technology, slip and assist clutch, which gives you a slightly lighter clutch feel, which is really good, and much smoother gear shifters. Now that's something that the key competitors don't have. Another thing the competitors don't have is the riding modes, and the rain and road mode give you a pretty hefty adjusted throttle response. So when you're riding in super wet conditions, you can have a little bit more confidence to know that you're going to keep yourself safe riding along. And it also has switchable traction control. Again, something that the competitor bikes don't have. The last thing that we're going to go through before I mention a couple more points about the competitors is the one thing that touches the ground down here, your rubber. So many people don't think about the rubber, but it's actually your only point of contact with the ground. So if you haven't got good rubber, you're not going to have very good grip. And I know that very well from the hard enduro side of my motorcycle life. They come with Michelin Road 5 tyres. They have a very, very good reputation. I mean, just the fact that it's got Michelin on the side is a bit of a thumbs up, so we won't go any more into that. Right, talking about the competitors that the Tiger 660 is going to be up against, I have had the pleasure today of riding the Yamaha Tracer and the Kawasaki Versys. Now, we went out in some country roads, some town roads, some big fast ones, some twisties, and I've ridden all three of them directly one after the other in the same conditions on the same roads, which is probably the best way to compare them, because when you put your bum from one seat to the other, you really notice the differences. Overall, I'm going to say this one wins for me, because just I think the accumulation of all the little bits that this bike can do over the specs of the other bikes just made the overall package feel better. And it was very obvious when you got into the saddle and went for a ride. Later on in the year, I will be able to give you a little bit more insight into the direct comparison of these bikes. But at this point with the prototype, I'm gonna leave it at that for today. Okay, it's time to hear the sound of the Tiger Sport 660. Let's turn her on. Oh, it's probably worth mentioning how pretty her face is. She's got a really nice poised front. Let me put the headlight on, full. You'll see it in the B-roll, but I like the front. Okay, are you ready? Oh yeah. Got a good growl. Lovely underslung exhausts. Nice purr. I'm gonna try and sneak a little bit more ride on this bike because it's a lot of fun, but I really hope you've enjoyed. Do let me know in the comments what you think of the Tiger Sport 660. Do you think it's gonna be a success? How do you think it looks? Let me know below. I'm Vanessa Ruck, also known as the Girl on a Bike. Thank you so much for watching. Please do hit subscribe. And that's me from Triumph over and out.